Greetings and welcome back, everyone. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and this is the Angry Chicken, the Hearthstone podcast. And with me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. Guys, welcome back for another week.
Hello, hello.
What up? I'm excited, but I have to tell you guys something.
Uh-oh.
What are you admitting?
I was like rank 7 or something after that last week, and then I tanked it again in classic Dills style. I got bored playing good decks, and I played aggro priest all night.
Oh,
and I'm
no.
now like rank 11.
Oh, no, you say it isn't so, Dills.
This is what happens to me every single season. I have no grind in me. I cannot do it. I cannot force myself to just go, all right, we're just going to play good and win. No, I have a couple pops, and then I'm just like, aggro priest would be fun. And then,
They do have casual mode for that, right?
Yeah, but then I don't know. Who knows if it's really good or not? You haven't
Clearly
tested
not.
against the real decks.
Did
No,
you have
it's
to
not good.
drop that far to find out that it wasn't?
Well, yeah, because then I had to try, other weird things. I had to try to make Anima Golem work, and I had to try a lot of things. So.
Oh, man,
I don't know. I had a blast though. I played a lot of really weird decks, and I had a blast. But yes, I lost a lot of games.
I was about to say, this is about the happiest anyone on this show has ever seemed to come across from falling that far in ranks.
Yeah, that's a lot of ranks, man. It's a lot of stars. That's 5 ranks I lost.
Oh, that's tough. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I have an excuse though too. I was testing decks because I have a big set of matches next week on Monday for the Hearthstats League. So I have to play Tice in the streamed game and stuff. So I need to come with something, I gotta come with some cool new fresh decks.
Did you find anything that worked?
No, they all didn't work. None of them worked. Everyone's playing Control Warrior, Zoo, Hunter. One of the 3 types of. It's like we've already gotten stale again, and we'll see.
It happens.
We'll come up with something.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm excited this week. Do you know why I'm excited?
Why are you excited, Garrett?
Because I'm wearing Hearthstone ear gauges.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna stand up and show the chat room, and I apologize if I smack my mic.
Let's get a look at these puppies.
Look at that. Yeah.
I don't know if that actually came through or not. I did see your tweet.
Yeah, I saw the tweet back at Christmas.
I'm sure the
I was
camera.
like, did Garrett just post a tweet of his nipple? And then I had to look again. And I was like, oh no, that's his ear. Oh.
Could
Yeah.
go either way.
Yeah, no. Katie got those for me for Christmas. She got them custom made. They're dope, but they're wood. So yeah, that tweet probably did look like a nipple because they're very close to my skin tone. So.
It was an up close thing of clearly some body part, and in the
Chat
middle
room saying
was
that they also thought it was a boo.
Awesome. I'm so glad. I even included in the tweet that, hey, earlobes look really weird up close. So to put that all away. But hey, if you want to send us a picture of your Hearthstone tattooed nipple, go for it.
of your Hearthstone tits. Sorry.
Oh, God. Too far, Dills. Too far.
Sorry.
Way too far. And please don't
Was
send
it
us.
too far?
Please don't send us those pictures. I would really appreciate it if you refrained
You
from
send
doing
those
that.
just to
Yeah,
me.
I'm the one who has to read those emails. Please don't.
All right, and now that everyone knows that Jocelyn's the one that screens all this, now we're going to get even more. So there you go.
Oh no.
Anyways, so yeah, got a little Hearthstone in my ears, and Dills has already taken a joke too far. It's another week on the Angry Chicken Show, everyone. It's another week. Well, let's
What do you want from me, man? It looked like you tweeted boobs, so I thought that's what
I'm
you
glad
were
that my flat earlobe looks to you like boobs. This is just terrible. Hey, something we should mention at the top that is probably not offensive to anyone unless they really hate Warlock or Paladin decks is that Dills, you and I both have some deck articles up on Hearthhead this week.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Folks
yeah, I
who
don't
go-
think anyone's getting pissed about mid-range Paladin, or you did kind of mid-range Warlock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your deck was similar to the deck that, remember with the deck I sent you a long time ago? It was kind of had that feel to it, where it was like you could start fast, but then you also had some finishing in there as well.
Yeah. It was kind of it was like you took the beginning curve of Zoo, and then you're like, hey, what if we took Zoo and then actually put a curve to the end of it?
Yeah,
just cut
then you
Zoo
could
in
actually draw
half.
5 and 6 drops.
And cut Zoo in half, and then put a 4, 5, 6, and 7 curve on there. And that's why I really liked it. And it also had a lot of, and you can see this in the Hearthhead article over at hearthhead.com. But what I liked about it is it has a lot of minion buffing going on, and it reminds me of like Beta Warlock before Shattered Sun Cleric and Dark Iron Dwarf got nerfed.
Yeah. And it's actually really, I think it's really viable right now as a deck type. Is mid-range with any of the decks that have the strong enough openers that where you can actually mulligan for 1 and 2 and 3 drops and stuff, because you have to be able to keep up with some of these, the Hunter Death Rattle. If you can't keep up at the beginning, just forget it, like just concede. That's what made Paladin good again, is they got a couple of 2 drops and obviously muster for battle and things, and Warlock is just kind of the best class, and they have now good cards kind of all up and down the curve. So I think those are two classes that definitely work with mid-range. So yeah, it's cool stuff. Good article, man. I liked it.
Well, thanks, Dills. Your article's good too, dude.
Yeah, it was all
Just patting each other on the back. Anywhoos, we got some news to talk about this week, so let's talk about this week's, Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Just a reminder, you can actually submit stories and vote on them over at the TAC subreddit, which can be found at tacpodcast.reddit.com. None of these stories came from that this week, though, because we were all talking about decks over on the TAC Reddit this week. Anyways, first up is that we saw some pack price changes in the App Store for a bunch of regions that weren't, yours and mine, Dills. Jocelyn, however, is unfortunately
no longer buy packs on her iPad.
Yeah, unfortunately,
so it's just more
this.
expensive now in general, right?
Yes,
but just on the iPad.
Yeah,
if you can buy the packs on your PC for the same price they ever were.
That they've always been, yeah.
Yeah, which is just strange. So this is happening in it says right here in the European Union, Canada, and Norway regions. And the price changes are apparently not due to Blizzard, but because of a currency exchange rate change in Apple's App Store. So if you're playing Hearthstone on the iPad, it's going through the App Store. So I guess I'm assuming they're charging Blizzard more on their end. So Blizzard's like, well, we got to raise the prices.
Apple takes 30% essentially off the top. So when they make a change to the price like that, and you can see it's somewhere in that vicinity that it went up. It's actually a little less than 30%, looks like, but it's around there, and that's about the amount that they just take. So, Blizzard has already kind of taken a pay, like they're taking less when you buy your packs through the iPad already, because any apps purchase goes, like some of it goes to Apple. Obviously, it increases the audience that they can give the product to, so it's fine. But you can't just like let them increase and then you just, okay, now we make even less. Like that's just not going to work. So yeah, it's not how businesses operate. But yeah, this one's not on Blizzard. This is on Apple and the App Store.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure that they already upped the price in Australia like last week or the week before, I think.
I do not know,
because I know it's more expensive in Australia, and I'm pretty sure that was recently.
Yeah, and this is that was only on iPad too, or
yeah,
was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We also saw.
There's no reason to rage at Blizzard here.
No.
I saw some people raging at Blizzard, but it's not. Blizzard has really nothing to do with it.
Just buy your packs on your computer.
Yeah.
Don't buy them on the iPad.
Yeah, the packs transfer right on over. You could open them on your iPad. You just use your computer to buy them.
Exactly. You save some money and everyone's happy. There was
Although
also
we are assuming everyone has a computer and an iPad. Some people might just have an iPad. That's true. Actually viable now.
And if that is the case, that I mean, it's something you have to deal with. But
yeah.
There was also some price change. There was some price increases in Heroes of the Storm in Europe this past week, and that's unrelated because that doesn't have anything to do with Apple.
Yeah, they don't have that on the iPad.
No, and oh man, that'd be terrible if they did. But
I was like, I can't decide if that'd be good or bad.
it would be bad.
It would be bad.
I'm telling you,
I don't see how that'd be good.
I'm telling you right here and now, that would be
well,
really
you
bad.
could use the little like gamepad type of stuff, but
No.
there's no way.
No.
No way.
No. Yeah,
I could just be like, move there instead of like.
The tapping?
Yeah, like
I'm-
tapping would just be so much easier.
I'm pretty
I don't know.
sure
God.
StarCraft 1 on the N64 would control better than that.
Actually, have you ever tried playing those types of games? They do have some.
Oh, I'm
on
aware.
iPad.
Yeah, and they're
They're impossible.
digestible at best. It's just like
you can't do it. It's something you could do while you're waiting for an airplane or something. Like you can't.
it's like
take the game
it's like
seriously.
microwavable burgers. It's like, well, yeah, technically this is a burger, and I guess I
Yeah.
can
And
digest
Can't
it,
eat this.
but it's not. It's
should
not
you?
the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed that analogy. Moving on, Team Archon has grown by 2. They picked up 2 new players. They picked up Sixo and Dear Nadia. So obviously, if you've been watching tournaments lately, you've probably been seeing a lot of Sixo or just Hearthstone streams in general. Recently hit #1 legend rank in 3 separate regions.
Yeah, he's pretty much the only guy that we know of who's done this. I mean, maybe somebody did it and never tweeted out that they did it or never made a big deal, but I doubt that.
Yeah,
'Cause why would you
that
do
would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane to do that because first you have to grind a legend on 3 different servers, and then you have to continue to play and win at a rate that gets you to that. That's just it's crazy. So.
Yep.
So
And
we're
he
all
did it with
failing
Sue.
in our Hearthstone lives is basically what this comes
Yeah.
down to.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
this
also known as the guy who hits legend first every single season. Every single season, what he does is he just, midnight hits, the rankings reset, and he just goes for like 24 hours until he hits legend. And always hits first because he just wins a lot with Zoo.
I feel like that's something that one of these days I want to just like take a vacation day and try. Just
And
be
see,
like, all
yeah.
right, February 1st, let's do this.
It would. I mean, yeah. It's I do play a lot usually on the reset day, but I don't know. I don't think I could do this. This is just. I just get tired. I get tired after 5 or 6 hours, and I can't do it anymore. And I don't want to do it anymore at that point. So it's really just he's got a lot of like he's just got that ability to kind of turn all that off and not get tired and just keep going and making correct decisions for an extended period of time.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
It's something. Yeah, it's something that's always impressed me about any of these professional gamers because it, like you said, it's not something I can personally do. When I played in that Magic tournament, a few months back, for it was like an 8-hour event. I was surprised how well I did. I was pretty jazzed throughout the whole event, but that's you're there with thousands of people, and it's easy to kind of feed off each other's energy. If I was just sitting in my pajama pants at home in front of my screen for 24 straight hours, I can't do it. I can't play anything that long.
No. Yeah. And so someone's asking if Forza did it on all 3. My recollection was he only did it on 2. He did
Yeah, I
it on
thought it was
NA
2.
and EU, and that was with Miracle Rogue back when that was really good. And that was super impressive. I mean, Kalento's done 2. Savitz did 2, I believe.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody had done 3 before 6-0.
Yeah, and also like the speed at which he achieved it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it
absurd.
was pretty early on in the season. Yeah, I mean, I guess like the next thing that nobody's done is to finish the season at #1 for all 3, because that's I think the hardest. The guy who finishes the season, because you have to fight to keep it, and other people are fighting to get it, and that's when it's kind of more like your ELO, I guess, is more established, and the movement is a little bit smaller at that point. So that would be the next like crazy thing. Like, how would somebody do that? But that, I mean, this is crazy enough. This is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Anyway, that's enough about Sixo. They also picked up Dear Nadia. If you're not familiar with her, you should be. She's one of the most popular Hearthstone streamers. Over 100,000 followers on Twitch. Not like hasn't made a huge splash in the tournament scene, but I have a feeling now that she's part of Team Archon, we'll probably see her pop up a little more here and there in certain tournaments.
This is Rekful's little sister too. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
She's talked about it on her stream. I watch her stream from time to time. She plays she plays ladder pretty much exclusively, and she's gotten really high rankings in Legend before. Like, she's finished seasons in the top 100 and stuff, but I don't think anyone's really thought of her as a big tournament player yet. And I don't know if that's necessarily even why they might be picking her up, is for
I don't think so.
tournament play. I think what Mamaz is doing is kind of cool. Is like saying, well, I'm going to get some, hard hitting tournament players, but I'm also going to get just popular streamers and people who are going to bring attention to Archon, attention to this team. And, they're now the first team that has a team house in Hearthstone. Firebat and Backspace are already there, and I think that's admirable. Just move there. We're not sure if he's on the team yet or not, but he's moving there.
Which is actually really interesting because I heard earlier this morning before this was officially announced, because one of the perks of being Atlantic time is that I get to know everything before everybody else. But yeah, no, I saw that they were saying that there was possibly 3 announcements, not just 2. And then for some reason, Amaz decided not to announce the 3rd thing on stream today. He only announced these 2 acquisitions. So I think we might be seeing another announcement in the next day or so.
Okay. Yeah, this is actually let's see, Jumbuck Joel. Okay, Jumbuck Joel says the Archon will have a presence online 24/7. That's kind of true. Like Amaz kind of covers the nighttime for us. If I when I get up in the morning and I get to work, he's like finishing his stream, and then you'll have guys like Firebat and then Nadia will get on. Shiko's kind of late usually too, but yeah, they'll be constantly on somebody from Archon, so that'll be really interesting. But I like the fact they have this team house, all this stuff. Are you guys sure Kit Kats? She said on stream Wreckful. She literally said Wreckful on stream, but I don't know, maybe. I don't really, you can't look that up, I don't think. But when I was watching it, that's what she said.
It may be a bullet point on her Wikipedia entry if she has one, but I'm not sure.
I don't care.
Yeah. Team Liquid's Hearthstone Wikipedia or their wiki isn't as robust on the random trivia about players as the StarCraft version of it is. So
maybe one day we'll get there.
Maybe we'll get there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we're on our way.
You brought up another point. Like, am I wrong? Is Team Archon having a team house? Is this the first instance of a Hearthstone team having a team house? I think it is.
The first that I know. I know, like, so 6-0 is living in like a gaming house, but I don't think it was a Hearthstone gaming house. Because he was on Root before.
Root has a gaming house.
Yeah, but that's not a Hearthstone gaming house.
No, I think it got started as a StarCraft one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of branched out to all the different games that that Root participates in. But I mean, yeah, this is gaming houses are really common in games like StarCraft and different MOBAs, but it's something we haven't seen happen in Hearthstone yet. But now we've got it. Team Archon,
yeah,
got a gaming house.
There you go. Yeah, it's a cool idea for Hearthstone because it's like there's a level of when you're in a team and you're trying to like figure out which deck to bring to a tournament. The ability to like sit across from each other and just play game after game after game of specific archetype. You're trying to figure out if this, matchup works really well. Like that's going to give them a really big advantage, I think, going into a lot of these tournaments because you can do this kind of stuff online, but I don't think you get that same experience of like waking up and just being immersed in what you do all day. The other guys who are on teams are doing it sometimes, across continents and stuff. And Firebat will wake up and just knock on Backspace's door and say, "What's up, dude? We got to practice Rogue versus Warlock for like 4 hours," and that's going to be pretty good for them. I foresee big things coming out of this team. Yeah,
it definitely helps being. Imagine Dills. Imagine if we just lived in the same house and we just while we're like eating a sandwich, we're like, hey, how can we make Angry Chicken better? And if like we're constantly in each other's space, eventually we'd probably just kill each other. But the show would probably be really good for a few months.
Yeah, you would really tighten it up, just tighten this ship up. Yeah. So they have 6 players now, by the way. So they're I feel like they're one of the bigger teams now all of a sudden too. When before it was just. Like at first, it was just Firebat and Amaz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Yeah, but yeah, they got Hosty, Backspace, 6-0, Nadia, and of course Amaz, and Firebat. So wow, and then we'll see what's up with That's Admirable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why is he moving to the house if he's not?
If he's moving to the house, I'm sure that he's the surprise
he's
announcement.
Something. Yeah. Maybe he's their Frodan. Like he's
maybe he's a coach. Yeah.
I was about to say I could see That's Admirable taking like a coaching position or some type of managerial role. I mean, involved in all this, and I think of more as a caster nowadays than I do a player.
Yeah. If he took the manager job, that would be huge.
Yeah, that'd be a solid team, man. So, anyways, you can go check this out. GhostGamers.net has a wonderful article up about 6-0 and Dear Nadia going to Team Archon if you want to read more about that and get a quick rundown of their accolades and what makes these players awesome.
Twitchikins just got the skinny. She is Wreckful's sister. Bang.
All right.
See? I watch Hearthstone streams, people.
Never doubt the Dills.
I forget what it was. I was wondering if this was going to end up being like that time you heard about a card that someone was brainstorming and you thought it was a real card and turned out not to be the real card.
Exactly. It's going to be exactly
I don't even remember what it was specifically, but the card that you mentioned was amazing and I wish it was real.
I know. I wish it was real too.
Anyways, the third and final bit of news this week is that Hearthstone has been nominated for 3 GDC awards. GDC, the Game Developers Conference, is coming up very soon, and Hearthstone has been nominated for Game of the Year, Best Design, and Best Handheld/Mobile Game, which I think is a unfair nomination because they're in there up against like Smash Brothers on the 3DS. It's just like, oh come on, why are these in the same category?
I mean, this is pretty big though, man. The Hearthstone up against Destiny and Middle Earth and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like Hearthstone's bigger than those games, though, isn't it?
Well, I was gonna say one of those is a really good game.
How many people are playing Destiny right now?
Actually, I think quite a lot. I'm not sure why, but yeah.
Was it 20 million? I mean, that's the last number we heard for Hearthstone, right?
As much fun as I'm making
yeah.
it, Destiny does have a lot of players.
Yeah. Okay. 20 million's a lot, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, that's not what this is about, though. I mean, it's not a largest player base. Like, if that would just be there's a correct answer. This is, voting from peers and people in the industry and whatnot. So, yeah. Well,
I personally don't think Destiny looks that great, honestly. But Middle Earth, that was a good game.
I really enjoyed it till I hit max level and realized it was very lonely.
And you're like, well, game's over. We're done. Yeah, I mean, I think Hearthstone could easily win any of these.
I think it should. I picked it for Game of the Year. I mean, it's got a huge player base. They had a successful launch. They had a successful launch of an expansion and the adventure mode. Like, I totally forgot about Naxx until literally just the second. I mean, like, I've sunk so much money into it. So have a ton of other people. Like, it's had huge success as an esport now, and it's one of the most popular games that's constantly streaming on Twitch. Like, I mean, just it seems like in every single category that you would possibly measure a game, they're kicking ass. Like, why wouldn't it be Game of the Year?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we kind of forget about it here because this is a game that we get together every week and talk about it, and there's slow weeks, and we're just like, it's kind of boring. But when you it's like, well, if I didn't have to talk about this once a day every week. It's a busy game. In 1 year, we've had the launch of the game, a mini expansion adventure thing, and then a full-blown expansion. That's a strong year for a new game.
Yeah, I guess when you think of Game of the Year, though, you start to think of big platformer games and stuff, and not a fairly simple UI design and a card game that deals in full integers and
something that's going up against I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm trying to think of the worst example of a mobile game, but Hearthstone exists in this space, and it's I don't know. It's like it's like if you took a professional NFL football player and just threw him in a game with a bunch of 5-year-olds. That's what it feels like. Hearthstone in the same space as everything else that's on the App Store is.
Well, it's true. Like I play Hearthstone on mobile, and the only other game that I really play on mobile anymore is WWE Supercard.
Still?
I mean, yeah, that game is actually kind of okay. But I mean, it's Hearthstone is leaps and bounds, and that is the style of game that you get in mobile. Is these kind of you want to buy some more time or whatever. You're out of time, you can't play again. Or like Clash of Clans and all that kind of crap, right?
You pay money to speed up the
chuck Hearthstone in here.
Speed up the thing, yeah. I mean, there's some absolutely amazing mobile games, and I mean, I love myself some Threes. That game is insane. Mm-hmm. And now that I guess FTL is technically on the iPad, we can call it a mobile game. That's also amazing. Yeah. And
that
and
game's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just rain on every single game ever on the App Store. But when you think about like what you hear on regular everyday news about whatever terrible game is making millions of dollars, like Flappy Bird or whatever, Hearthstone is like a shiny beacon.
Yeah, when it's Candy Crush, Flappy Bird, like those are the games that are making the most money. And then you look at Hearthstone. It's like, this is an actual game, you guys. This is not just push the buttons every now and then. This is not a time wasting type of game. So,
yeah.
There have been some pretty. I mean, I think Walking Dead translated the best on iPad, and I think
the Telltale game.
Yeah. I think it worked best on iPad.
The thing is that game's
clicking with a mouse and all that was like not as intuitive as like because the way the game worked and everything, where you're kind of
because it's kind of like
select here.
It's kind of like playing a storybook, and
and
having it on a format that's kind of like holding a book kind of makes sense. I played all those on the PC, but yeah, I mean those games were good on really whatever you played it on. So.
But I wouldn't consider those like mobile games, really. They're just ported to mobile.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like Hearthstone, even though in a way it was ported to mobile, I guess it more to me feels like a mobile game.
Oh yeah, I mean you go back.
I don't know. Like at the same time, the people who are really competitive at it aren't playing in like on iPads. Like Kibler's not sitting there with his iPad; he's sitting on his PC, and they're streaming. And I don't know.
Well, that's because you can't stream from your iPad.
But you think if you could stream from your iPad, that's what they'd all be doing, sitting there with their iPads?
Some definitely would. Why not?
You can stream from your iPad. The setup is just ridiculously hard.
It's unnecessary. The thing is that the easiest way for the community that we follow to connect to their community is through the PC version. If it was just as easy, if not easier, to do it through an iPad, that's the way everyone would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the early days of this show, the episodes like 1 through 20. When it's still early beta, we're just talking about how the second we got into it, it's like all of it looks like from the ground up built for a tablet, and you can tell.
True.
And it's not a bad thing. It doesn't cheapen the experience. The UI, like the whole design around Hearthstone, is just disgusting. It is so well done. Like the whole thing, the way it looks like an actual game box that opens with all these compartments and drawers. I geek out over it so hard, and I'm so happy that they're nominated for best design because this game is just so well designed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I
okay,
think
if you could choose the two ways to play, would you choose iPad? Like if you weren't streaming, if you're not going to stream, do you ever pick up the PC just to play Hearthstone?
Not the way I play it, because I'm constantly looking at other decks and reading. Every day I get up, is there a new Kibler article? I'll read that, or I'll go check out Hearthhead or see what's going on, and I look at deck lists, and I like to pop it open and have multiple windows, and that's not something that is easy, at least at the moment, with a tablet.
Yeah. I feel like I choose to play on the iPad more often, but now with some of the tools I'm using, like Hearthstone deck tracker and keeping track of my stats and stuff, I'm on my PC more. But if I just wanted to play and none of that was a factor, I would always choose the iPad. It just feels good. It feels right.
For anything like BlizzCon or Nerdtacular or Fireside gatherings, anything where there's a bunch of us playing together in the same space, I massively prefer the iPad, because it's just wires, no nothing. It's tiny. It just fits into my shoulder bag and just pop it out and let's play. But yeah, I prefer. It's different depending on how I'm playing the game.
All right. I just wanted to see what you guys thought. So I think I interrupted Jocelyn. Sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say that I guess my big problem with putting Hearthstone in best mobile game, and I think Garrett kind of touched on it a little bit, is just that it feels like I think it should be considered for just flat out game of the year. But then I feel like a lot of outlets are like, well, we'd like to give it the game of the year, but there's all these big AAA titles, and it's kind of weird to give it to a card game and blah, blah, blah. So they're putting it in the mobile category so that they can give it some game of the year, but not the game of the year. And I think it should just be the game of the year, end of story. I think putting it in the handheld mobile category is like kind of a little bit of a cop-out.
Well, it's nominated for both game of the year.
Oh, it is nominated for both, but I'm saying I've seen a lot of places not give it game of the year, but give it mobile game of the year, kind of to be like, yay, Hearthstone's really awesome and it deserves a nod. But we don't really consider it as a contender really for game of the year. Or that allows them to give Hearthstone game of the year and something else game of the year at the same time, when really Hearthstone should just be in the Game of the Year category. End of story.
No, I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying
it's-
too. She's saying that it's only because there wasn't a Zelda this year that Hearthstone should be the Game of the Year.
Well, when Zelda hits again next year, yeah.
Jocelyn will just be like, I retract everything I just said. Zelda wins everything all the time.
Zelda wins all the things always.
We know where your allegiances lie, Jocelyn.
Well, what other game came out this year that made even close to the impact that Hearthstone did, just in general, across gaming? I don't think anything.
Everything that's popping to my mind are like negative impacts. It's like scandals like, oh, Assassin's Creed was a broken
Assassin's
pile.
Creed.
And, like, that's just funny things. I mean, there were some really good games. Shadows of Mordor was absolutely insane. Dragon Age, I think for me, is the game that I just can't get over the scope of. But whatever.
But like, I feel like those games, like, they're great, they're fun, but they go away.
Exactly. And
like,
I mean,
eventually they kind of they peter out. No one's really watching them anymore. No one's really playing them anymore.
but Hearthstone's always there. And I find for me, it came down to really Hearthstone and Smite. And I mean, Smite's another one that had a really, really great year, and it kept me coming back. It's super competitive. And like, I mean, they just finished their world championships. They had the third largest prize pool in gaming ever. And I mean, it's games like that, I feel, that just keep you coming back, that had early launches, that kept people playing all year, that are super popular with streamers. Like, that to me is like game of the year, not game of November.
Yeah. I think, like, when you look at some of those games too, I feel like Smite's just been around longer, maybe. So maybe I don't think of it as like,
it was in beta for
the year
a really
that it
long
was
time.
launched. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
was
is
like-
kind of the same as Hearthstone, right? Like, it was in beta and then open beta for so long before we actually got a full-on official launch. So it feels like it didn't come out in 2014, but both of them did, actually right around the same time.
But I feel like Hearthstone did come out in 2014 because I feel like it was only around in beta. I guess I feel like Smite was around for much longer in beta. I knew about it
Smite
a
was
long
in beta
time
for
ago.
years.
These
Smite
same
was in
kind of
beta for years.
these same kind of discussions were happening last year with Dota 2. Dota 2 had been playable for 3 years, but last year was when it technically released.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing with games, is that the beta periods are lasting so long now that even though this might be the release, it doesn't feel like a new game at all. It just feels like, oh, now it's a good game. Like, in a year from now, when we're talking about Heroes and we're saying, okay, well, should Heroes be? I'm going to think of Heroes as having been out forever, even though
Exactly.
no one can play it.
Yeah, they're going into closed beta tomorrow, and it's just like, well, and everyone's like, yeah, closed beta. I'm like, well, what are you excited about? It's literally just a name change.
Yeah.
It's already on the beta server.
It's really changing.
Yeah, they're going to let more people in, but they've already been letting a ton of people in. A bunch of invites went out last week. There's really nothing changing.
It's a very bizarre kind of way that the gaming industry has evolved into this thing where we've got these 3-year long beta periods. It's like if a movie came out and then they were like, well, we'll let some people see it, and then next year it'll be nominated for Oscar.
And it'll be called The Interview.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I wasn't expecting us to have so much to say about this.
Yeah,
But,
well,
It's game of the year.
that's how we do.
Big discussion
That's what we do, Garrett.
But yeah,
We'd like to talk.
yeah. If you want to see more about this, go to gdconf.com to see all of the nominees and find out more about GDC. If you're going, I'm jealous. I'd love to attend. And well, it's time to talk some strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
You can vote for which cards you would like us to review next week on the show at tinyurl.com/TAC62. Y'all voted last week, and Warlock won. And I just said y'all, which I've tried to beat out of my vocabulary for my entire life.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with saying y'all.
There's everything wrong with it.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's just a contraction of you all. That's all.
Yep.
It seems totally normal and natural to me.
It totally just
My
makes
whole
me feel
family's
bad.
from Texas, so I'm used to y'all.
Half of my family's from Kentucky. I am from Florida. Yeah. It
You
happens.
say y'all out there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're damn right we do. And we get really weird headlines in the news as well. It's also
You
what
know
we're
what's
famous
weird
for.
about Florida? The first time I went there, I didn't realize how redneck it is. I had no clue.
People don't
I was
get
like,
it.
I was
Yeah.
like, this makes sense. It's very southern. It is very southern if you look at it geographically.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's spring break in Miami Beach." It's like, well, you don't
Miami,
realize there's
Will Smith and
there's
contiguous.
thousands of miles of Central Florida, and that is just the most southern thing. It's swamp dwelling, fried alligator, which is delicious. Eating just
What?
alligator tail. It's wonderful.
Whatever you got, fry it up. It'll be delicious.
Yeah. No, don't judge it, Jocelyn. It is really
I am
good.
judging you so hard right now.
So good. It is so good.
But then you got you got Orlando and Miami and like big cities that you don't think of it as being that way at all.
Yeah,
so that's just
exactly.
what I got there. That was what struck me. So y'all is fine, man. Go ahead. Y'all away. Y'all allowed to say y'all, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, indeed. But we're not here to talk about Florida or fried gator. We're here to talk about Warlock cards and Goblins versus Gnomes and rate them and judge them as they shall be. And we're going to kick it off with Anima Golem, who is a 6-mana epic mech minion with 9 attack, 9 health. That's right. Do not adjust your speakers. It is a 9/9 for 6. What could possibly be bad about this card? Well, let me tell you. At the end of each turn, destroy this minion if it's your only one. This card is terrible, and I'm just going to move on now.
Yeah, it's really bad. I think this is my first card I'm just giving F's to because it sucks.
I almost
I
did.
guess the dream is to play this with like a blood imp, right? And then they can't kill the blood imp, so they have to figure out how to kill your 9/9. But then it just dies to Big Game Hunter, and I don't know, whatever. It's too easy to get rid of every other minion but this one, and then it just dies.
Okay, so I gave it a C. And I'm totally flexible on my grade because I really didn't know what to give it. What I wanted to talk to you guys about is possibly throwing this in handlock and then using it with like an owl to silence it. So then you just get like a 9/9 for 8, and it's another big, huge, beefy minion in handlock.
I mean, I could see it. I just think that I'd rather play 0 mana 8/8s and 4 mana 8/8s than a 6 mana 9/9 that I have to silence, But I see what you're saying. I think
it was
Handlock
just a thought. So I was like, I'm not going to just full on give this an F right out the gate.
That's why
it could work.
That's why I didn't. I really wanted to give this guy an F, but I ended up giving it D's because at the end of the day, I feel like maybe there's some bizarre ass deck. Maybe in another week or two, Day 9's going to get bored and make a deck like this, and he's going to have an amazing daily that I'm going to watch and love. But no, this is a bad card.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to make other minions stick on the board, yes. The problem is you're weakening your deck if this is what you're trying to do. Like you're essentially making a deck to try to make this one card work, and when you ever build a card or a deck around like a single card, it just doesn't work in general. And this is the kind of deck you have to build around, or else it just will never work. Yeah. And the problem is at the end of each turn, it's so on your turn you won't be able to trade if you needed to trade. You're instead going to say, well, I have to go face because I can't use my minions to trade, or else I'm going to lose my Anima Golem. Then on their turn, they're just like, all right, I don't have to kill the Anima Golem. I just have to kill the other things that are on the board. And so, and then you just lost 6 mana. You just played something for 6 mana that never did anything. And, so I don't know. It's just bad.
Yeah,
bad card.
You just brought up a point, and I want to expand upon it, which is big minions. We like big minions in this game because you put it out and it just has to be dealt with. It's a threat. And if there's a big minion, say you've got a giant out there, it's 8/8, and they don't have an easy way to remove it, they're going to have to swing in with their weapon. You want them to not want to swing in with their weapon, but that they have to because they're going to take the damage anyway. This is a big minion that just says, you want to kill literally anything but me, and all of everything else is going to be easier to kill.
Yeah.
So it's just dumb. Like, it's just a dumb card. I hate this card.
And people in the chat are, say, okay, yes, you could silence it, you could void tear it, play zoo, flood the board, but then
Big Game Hunter comes out.
If you play ladder and you play again, you realize that people, no matter how much you flood the board, no matter how much you do this, there's ways to clear your board. There just are, and people can do it. And even though that may, in certain situations it's going to stick and be 9 damage every single turn while it sticks, there's going to be enough situations where you're never going to be able to have any minions stick on the board, and then it's I can't play this. I can never play this card. Or I played it and it's cost me 6, and they didn't have to kill it to get rid of it. They just got rid of it anyway. So yeah, you've seen now Zoo, like they're taking out the Sea Giant, which is the Sea Giant was, I think, a much better version than this, because you could play a Sea Giant often for like 2 mana for an 8/8, and an 8/8 is not really worse than a 9/9. Like having it have one more attack and power and health is not that big of a deal. But then that would just get killed by Big Game Hunter, and so I think that's the other problem here too. It just dies to Big Game Hunter. So yeah,
we talked a lot about our thoughts on Big Game Hunter on the after show last week.
Yes.
Which is up over on the youtube.com/StarcastShow.
Yeah.
But yeah, because there was some talk on the subreddit, on our subreddit, about the issue with the lack of control decks in Hearthstone, and I feel like we touched on a lot about that in the after show last week. But it should be up for everyone now. If it isn't, it'll be up for everyone very soon. I'll throw out a link on the Twitter tomorrow. But anywho, yeah, Anima Golem, just bizarre creature, minion. There'll be times in Arena where you have to take it, and it's Arena, and you'll have minion stick, and you'll get it out, and you'll have a good time. But overall, this is just not a card you can depend on.
Yeah, I guess it could be up against some really bad epics, because there's some really bad epics out there.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
And this will be the best pick, and that's that's just going to be the case sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to avoid it unless I don't know. Someone else said, "Oh, build a deck where you use Wailing Soul and yes, okay." But again, like I feel like you're making your deck weaker by putting in cards like that.
Yeah, because what if you get just the Wailing Soul or just the Anima Golem? It's like, oh, cool. Here's 2 cards that I can't do anything with unless I get this other card.
I have to play them together to make it work. It's just, yeah, you're essentially what you're doing to make this 9/9 try to work is you're making the other cards in your deck weaker. And that's not a good strategy.
Yeah, it just asks too much of us. So, D's from me, F's from Dills, C and constructed D and Arita from Jocelyn, because she cray-cray.
I'm not crazy. I'm just trying. I'm trying.
She's got some ideas. Yeah.
That was a good point. I didn't even think about the whole just silence it. But again, it's just for me, it's a little too much to worry about. But let's move on to a card that I think we all love, Mr. Darkbomb, a 2-mana common spell that reads, deal 3 damage. That's it? There's no or 16 damage? Like none of that? None of this is in here? Okay, cool. I dig it. Darkbomb it up.
Yeah, Darkbomb's a good card.
Yeah, this card has very quickly become a mainstay in just about every Warlock deck we're seeing nowadays.
It's essentially a weaker version of Frostbolt because it doesn't have the freeze effect to go along with it. But the fact of the matter is that with Warlock, your cards should be technically worse than the other classes because your hero power is just technically better. And so I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. It's slightly worse than a Frostbolt, but essentially the same thing.
But it's really hard to full-on compare class cards versus other class cards. Like you should just, if you look at strictly just the Warlock cards, then you've got for 1 more mana, you get 1 less damage, but you don't get rid of a card like you do with Soulfire. So, I mean, this is just, for me, in every deck that I had that ran Soulfire, now just has Dark Bombs. And then I don't have to worry about losing any of my cards.
No, it replaced, people stopped running Soulfire, and now they're essentially running Dark Bomb. Another thing too is this made Warlock a lot stronger in Arena because it's a common spell, and so you're getting, before like your only real removal options were Soulfire, which now is just much worse, and Shadow Bolt, and then like Hellfire and stuff, which kills everything. But now you're getting Dark Bombs in Arena, and suddenly you have that early removal that you didn't have before. So pretty good stuff.
Well, and the other thing is that you can throw it anywhere. With Shadow Bolt, you have to target a minion. So you still have options if you pull it late game to throw it at the guy's face if you need to, which you can't with Shadow Bolt. Yeah.
Shadow Bolt's 4 damage only to minions. Everybody knows Soulfire 4 damage anywhere it used to be 0 mana, now it's 1. But discarding a card early on, it's not technically terrible because you can always life tap later, but it just means you have to life tap later at some point because now you're suddenly you have less cards. So this was a card that Warlock didn't have access to something like this, and now they do, and it's made them much better. It's again slightly worse than Frostbolt, but should be because they should have cards that are slightly worse because they're Warlocks and they're just better.
Mm-hmm.
They can draw cards whenever they want. You don't get freeze. Deal with it.
Yep. But I mean, so your point about Jocelyn about comparing class cards to other class cards, I think you can do that in certain scenarios. Like Mortal Strike for Warriors is a fireball if you're below 12 health. It's just strictly worse than fireball, right? Because it's 4 damage if you're above 12 health. So when you look at that card, I always think, well, crap. I mean, mages get to do this whenever they want. That's just a better card. So like it makes that card seem, weaker, and it should, because comparably another class has the ability to do the same thing that you would have to somehow be, find a situation to be able to do. That kind of stuff does make me evaluate cards differently. Like I would look at that card probably and say 4 damage for 4 mana, not too bad. Maybe it could be 6, but then I go, wait, that other guy always gets 6. So that means technically this is just bad,
I just mean that in general, at least how I look at it, is that it's better to compare it against other Warlock cards first to see how well it works in your deck. Because like as a Warlock, you can't have Frostbolt. So why would it weigh into your rating of another Warlock card?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at ratings. If it's, if you're looking at
I just mean we shouldn't call one card bad because it isn't as good as another class card outside of your specific class.
No, that's very true.
That's
you don't have access to the other class cards.
Exactly.
That's very true. Yeah.
But to clear it up, I don't think anyone here is calling Darkbomb bad.
No.
It's a good card.
Hell no.
Damn good card.
That's the only reason I gave it A- is because it's just slightly worse than another version of a 2 mana 3 damage spell. But it's an A. It's an A. It's fine.
Jocelyn, what'd you give it?
I gave it A's.
I give it B's. I think it's
why, Garrett? Why?
I mean, it's above average card, but it's just 3 damage for 2 mana. It's not super exciting. It's a really good card, but I don't know. Frostbolt's better.
True.
I've been playing a lot of Control Warrior and have lost many games because I've just been frozen and couldn't use all of my weapons.
It's just okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, Jocelyn. But then I also you can't just pretend that those other cards don't exist. This is a way to evaluate. I think Frostbolt's better. I think Fiery War Axe is even better than Frostbolt. That's 6 damage for 2 mana.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just it's
no, and I do.
Even though I don't have access to a Fiery War Axe, it doesn't mean that card doesn't exist, and I shouldn't use that card to kind of measure what 2 mana is worth. And yes, it's worth something different in every class, but you kind of get a sense for what 2 mana should be capable of doing. And I think with Warlock, every card should be slightly worse than any version of it for other classes, because I think Warlock has to be a little bit worse because of how good the hero power is.
Yeah, they feel scrappy and a little desperate at all times, and it's good, and that's how they should feel. And I think Blizzard's done a good job of making Warlocks feel like that. But
yes, and they're still the best. Yeah, because that hero power is so damn good.
It is so damn good. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, let's talk about Demonheart, the next card. It's a 5 mana epic spell, and it reads: deal 5 damage to a minion. If it's if it's a friendly demon, give it +5/+5 instead. I generally love cards that give you options like this. Also, Demonheart has quite possibly some of the most badass art we've seen in Hearthstone so far.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it's got a lot going for it on the make Garrett like it scale. But overall, this is just not that thrilling of an effect.
It's similar to Demon Fire, right? It's the bigger version of Demon Fire.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Which sees almost no play right now.
Yeah. But I think that what this card does do is it gives people who want to play Demon Lock more ability to do so. Because you could play Demon Fire and you could play Demon Heart if you were playing a Demon Warlock. And those 2 cards would be fine in that specific deck. Again, though, I think, it's you want to play Demon Warlock, you kind of are forced into playing some cards like this that may not be that great just because of what you're trying to do. And your kind of whole deck gets a little bit nerfed because of that. So I think this card has some good viability, and I saw it in that Dark Wannix kind of control Warlock into combo that he was playing. He played against Brian Kibler. We talked about
during week 5 of the ESL Legendary Series.
Yeah, and so there's definitely a place for it somewhere. but it's just it's when you just look at it, it's 5 damage for 5 mana or 5/5 for 5, one or the other, and both of those options slightly weak. What makes it good is you have the option.
Right, exactly. I like now. I gave it a C- in constructed, and because I think it's just a little bit below average. It's just kind of you're not getting you're just getting 5 for 5. But I like it a little more in arena because I feel that minion buffs just go a little bit further in arena. So I give it
just removal at worst.
Yeah,
right?
it's removal.
Yeah, exactly, and you have the option. And I love these, like you said, Dills. These demon specific cards give you more to play around with if you're trying to build around a demon deck. And there's a very high chance that you're gonna have a lot of demons in your arena deck. So this might come up late in the draft. And you're like, oh hell yeah, let's grab some Demonhearts.
It's actually very true. You do tend to get a lot, there's a lot of demons that are bad to pick in arena, but the good ones that you want to pick are actually commons. You get a lot of the Void Callers and the what's the dude that does 6/6 does blood damage to everything?
Infernal. Dread Infernal.
Yeah.
Dread Infernal. You get those a lot. And so if you have those, if you get that 6/6 to stick on the board one turn and then you turn into an 11/11, it's pretty brutal. That's quite scary.
Also, when you draw your Flame Imp on turn 6, you're no longer sad.
That's true. Yeah, you can actually make a Flame Imp do something. So,
I like Demonheart in arena. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's a C+ at best. It's slightly above average, but I definitely like it more there than in constructed. So those are my grades. Stills, what'd you give Demonheart?
I actually went the other way, though. I made it slightly better in constructed just because I can build a deck that guarantees to get some use out of it. Whereas in arena, it's maybe not. But you are right that you're kind of bound to get some demons in an arena draft for Warlock, and especially now. I think Void Caller is so strong, being able to get demons out for free that you just tend to pick demons higher than you used to, especially if you have a couple of those. The problem I have with it is what am I going to use to kill it with? Or what am I going to use it to kill? I'm going to kill 4 mana cost cards with my 5 mana cost card, and it's going to kind of suck. So I just don't think it's very good when I look at it as pure value. So I'll give it a D+.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, what say you on Demonheart?
I said to you earlier, I think I'm just in a really good mood tonight because my grades are really high. I gave it a B in constructed because it's in Gara's Demon Lock deck, and I really, really like it there. Even then, it's still only 1 copy of it, not 2. But I like the choice, and I think it works really well in a demon deck. And then you also have the card we're going to talk about shortly, I think, in a couple cards from now. Implosion gives you 1/1 demons. So if you can manage to turn 4 Implosion and one of them lives, then you can on turn 5 give it +5/+5, and all of a sudden you have a 6/6 that's ready to swing on turn 5, which I think is pretty good. So I think you can do some pretty cool things with it. So I rated it a little bit higher.
Go Monitor is saying good finisher. The problem is that I wouldn't call this card a finisher because it relies on you having a demon stick on the board to use it as a finisher.
You can't just go 5 to the face. It's specifically
you can't go
only
5
2
to the
minions.
face just whenever you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, it can only target minions.
Inherently worse than Fireball as a finisher.
Oh, way worse. Less damage.
Yeah.
More mana.
But if
can't
you
target the face.
If you can get a demon to stick, then yes, 5/5 to your demon and then hit the face with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's why I went a little bit higher in constructed, but then same idea in arena as you.
No, those are fair points for sure, and I do like that they're giving more demon lock choices.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of that. I want to see more synergy within the classes on the archetypes that you kind of everyone kind of saw early on, and they said, "Oh, this will be cool," and then they tried to make it, and they're like, "There's just not enough tools yet," And this is here's another tool in the toolbox for making something like a demon lock work. Yeah. And I'm seeing some demon locks around that are actually viable. They're more mid-rangey and stuff, and they have Mal'Ganis and Jiraxxus and stuff like that. So it's kind of control the board and then get all your power going through the mid game into the late game, and that's an interesting way to play Warlock for sure.
Yeah. I want to see more tribes in this game just in general. I love the idea of all these kind of sub-tribes. I mean, mech being the biggest one, obviously added with Goblins versus Gnomes. But man, we got dragons. I want something going on with dragons. There's no inner dragon synergy, damn it.
Yeah, I know. Dragons should be buffing other dragons.
Oh my god. That would be
Right?
intensely insane.
Like, you know,
Or have like little dragon buffing dudes that are specifically buff dragons.
little dragon buffing dudes.
Little dragon buffing dudes, you know? You know those guys. In the World of Warcraft lore, all those little dragon buffing dudes
You know,
running around.
since all the dragons are over 8 mana, I think. Is there a 7 mana dragon?
Yeah, I think so.
Um,
There's no.
Anyway,
well,
they're all late game, high
Fairy
curve.
dragon technically is a dragon.
Yeah,
But I don't think
dragons,
that-
I think the only one that's like early game.
But the fact is, I'm saying, if you actually manage to get 2 out in a game, you might as well be rewarded for it. You know, get 2 out on the game and they're actually on the board at the same time. You might as well have some kind of absurd synergy, because at that point the game's probably over anyway. So why not make it a big,
Sure.
flashy, fireworks-filled affair?
I just feel like also in World of Warcraft, not all the dragons are big, crazy, like, you know, game finishing dragons. There's some just like younger dragons running around being, you know,
Yeah, but
drakes should count in the dragon world, and like they don't right now. They're not dragons. They're
Yeah,
drakes.
We
but-
have I don't know what they're called in game, but I call them the dragon centaurs because they have the 4 legs and the tail, but they're
yeah.
the dragon kin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Dragon Kin, yeah. Well, see, people are saying like Azure Drake and Twilight Drake. They don't count as dragons. They don't say dragon at the bottom of the card.
Yeah, but Alexstrasza and Malagos and those Dormo
Yeah,
actually,
those actually say
they
dragon.
say
I'm sure they probably will, like they did with like Harvest Golem with
They
the
added
mech
mech,
label.
yeah.
If they ever decide to do anything with Dragon Synergy, then we'll see all the drakes get dragon at the bottom.
maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
It should.
We'll see.
I would hope that they would.
Yeah, anyways, dragons have nothing to do with warlocks. So moving on to Fel
Wait a
Cannon.
minute, they have nothing.
What?
Fel Cannon, which I thought had nothing to do with warlocks when I was out there fighting them, and what was it?
They were in Burning Crusade.
Burning
first
Crusade in
time
the
I
very
ran
first
across
Hellfire
Fel
Peninsula.
Cannons. Hellfire Peninsula
Hellfire
mostly,
Peninsula,
yeah.
I almost called it the Burning Steps. I'm like, that's not the Burning Steps, Garrett, you idiot. Anyways,
Yeah.
Fel
But no,
Cannon.
right when you go into BC, you start running into some Fel Cannons.
Yep. Anyways, Fel Cannons is it's a 4 mana rare mech minion. It has 3 attack, 5 health, and it reads, at the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a non-mech minion. And this card was probably made most famous by Brian Kibler's facial expression when Dark Wannix played it against him in the ESL Legendary Series. That was
that was a great moment.
was memorable. Yeah,
Great moment in Fel Cannon history, right there.
moments in Fel Cannon history. Ding. We'll get a
I
bumper
like
for
this
that.
card a lot, and I want to make a deck where this works. And the problem that I have right now is that I don't feel like Warlock really makes use of the mechs quite as much as, say, you know, like we've had mechs now for a little while, and still Mech Mage and Mech Druid have really only kind of come forward as the major mech players, which is kind of interesting. I would have thought we'd seen a lot of viable mech decks, but I'm convinced I'm going to make a Warlock mech deck. I think what the thing is that's going on here is mech Warlock is essentially like a zoo mech deck, where you might as well just say make a regular zoo deck, and the regular zoo deck just seems to be a little bit better. So that might be the reason why we're not seeing it much. But I love this card. I think it's like mini Ragnaros, right?
Oh my god, no, it's like super OP Demolisher.
Yeah, but it's even better than Demolisher because
That's
it's at
what
the
I'm
end
saying.
of your turn. Yeah. It's not at the beginning of your next turn. It's
Yeah.
you immediately get value out
That's
of
what I
this.
mean. It's like super buffed. It's like 1 more
Yeah.
health, 2 more attack for 1 more mana, plus the whole end of your turn thing. Oh, I love this card.
Yeah,
I think
it's a
it was-
3/5 for 4, which we know like is kind of the standard bearer for like that's the okay stats for a card that does something right away. So yeah, I think this card is amazing. I just
Love it.
I just
liked,
haven't made it work yet.
I think it was Brian Kibler in his early reviews said about Fel Cannon that think of it as as a beefier knife juggler that was guaranteed to give you 2 knife juggles at the end of every turn, and they were guaranteed to hit the same target.
Yeah, I can see that. The problem is the thing about knife juggler though is you can do stuff like juggle 5 or 6 times. in
Oh,
one
I know,
turn.
yeah.
For this, you're only ever gonna get the 2 at the
Yeah.
end of your turn.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that attack random things that you can compare it to, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's a fun card. It's weird to get it to work properly, but it can be done. Exhibit A, Dark Wannix. But I ended up giving it a B- in constructed. I think it's just a hair above average. I really like it. It's got, it'll work in a mech deck quite well. And I gave it a C in arena. Obviously, it gets way better the further up your draft you go if you have a lot of mechs. But
yes, yeah, absolutely. But you can't guarantee that that's the case in arena. So,
But yeah.
the
Turn
problem
one pick,
too is in arena you're going to be drafting kind of just the best card, and that may not necessarily be mech. And then you play this, and if it lives the next turn, you can't play a 3/2. Like you just can't, because you might kill your own 3/2. So.
Oh, right. It can damage your own stuff too.
It can hit your own stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So like if you're in arena.
Okay, I'm changing this.
You can't really just say this is a great card. Like if you play it on turn 4 and your side of the board is clear, and this is a very common situation in arena where it's your turn, you play your 3-drop. Now it's my turn, turn 4, and I play my 4-drop. If I play this, that's pretty good, but there's not a lot of 3-drops I'm gonna kill with this, right? Dark Wonyx killed a Shade of Naxx. That's one of the only ones you'd be able to kill, right? Because it's a 2/2 the turn it's played. But most cases, you're going to see a 3-drop have 3 or more health. So you're not actually going to kill whatever 3-drop they put down unless it's already been damaged, or unless they have like some other minion on the board that's also been damaged or is at 2 health. So it's going to be tough to really get the value you want out of it, and then it's going to make your next turns tougher if it stays alive and you have a bunch of low-cost stuff that you want to play. You're taking a chance that you're going to play it and then just immediately kill your thing that you just played before it ever even does anything. So it's got a drawback.
Yeah. So are we in agreement across the board on a card for once?
Pretty much.
I think we are. Yeah.
Card
Because...
constructed.
Yeah.
And
all right.
Yeah.
So B- in constructed, C in arena across the board from all three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I definitely made the mistake of thinking that it was just enemy minions. So yeah, that's why I thought
I made the mistake
but
too.
It's not. Never mind. Forget it.
When I was finishing up the notes today, I was looking at it again. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that. So I was assuming because
that shows how little play it's actually seen so far.
Yep.
I think it's an intriguing card. It's just like I was trying to make a mech deck that used this card, and then I started thinking, well, now wait a minute, can I not now put in these good non-mech cards because this card might kill my own non-mech cards? And it's true. Like it's suddenly you have to think about that, and that's kind of and making a deck that's only mechs, I couldn't really think that like the deck I was making I didn't think looked very good.
Yeah.
Now you can do stuff like I could put like Nerubian eggs or something like that, where if it does happen to hit my Nerubian egg, that's pretty good.
Good thing.
Gotta suddenly activate my egg and have a 4/4 on board. So I mean, there's I think there is somewhere in there a really cool deck that uses this. That's like a mech-based deck that also has other cards that you want to get damaged. That will then take advantage, some like enrage minions or something like that. Could be interesting.
Yep. Well, let's move on to Floating Watcher, 5 mana demon minion. It's a 4 attack, 4 health for 5 mana, and it reads: whenever your hero takes damage on your turn, gain +2/+2. I like Floating Watcher. I like the idea. I really dig giving Warlock anything that gets better for damaging yourself, because it works, because I want to life tap as much as I can.
Yeah.
So
the issue though is you have to. So this has a big drawback too, because you have to play, like, let's say it's turn 7. I have to play this first, then life tap, and then I don't get that option that normally life tapping does, which is I life tap and then I suddenly have a better turn, because I do it before I use up all of my mana. This requires that and sure, playing a 6/6 is a good use of that 5 mana. But that's the only way to make this a 6/6. If you have to play it as a 4/4, then you just hope that it lives one more turn to where you can then life tap on the next turn and stuff like that. And you can also do stuff like the flame imps and things like that will damage you and get buffed. But I really like this card if you're using like void callers. I think this card is amazing if you can get it on the board for free. It's insane. This is the exact type of card you want to get on the board for free, and that's, I think, like the new arena meta for Warlocks is draft a bunch of void callers and then draft a bunch of these demons that kind of suck when you have to pay their mana cost. And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of demons that suck when you have to pay their mana cost, but when you can get them out for free, it's insane. So I think it's just better in Arena. But,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And even having to play him on turn 5 in Arena isn't the end of the world.
No, it's
all
not
minions
terrible.
are stickier in Arena. But yeah, I feel very much the same way. I feel like if he was 1 mana less, I would love this card.
This card would be
Yeah.
too good at 1 mana.
Would it? Would it really? Because imagine just go on this journey with me. It's a 4/4
right.
for 4. So with no
Sure.
text, I like it. It's passing the vanilla test, which is it's you get 4, 4, 4, 4. Someone last week was like, "What's the vanilla test?" Well, that's what it is. You're getting the same amount of stats for the mana you paid. But is it really that broken? Because then on turn 4, it's just 4/4 for 4. And say you wait till turn 6 to play it and then tap, it's a 6/6 for 6. Granted, you lost health and drew a card.
Yeah.
But
Here's the problem, though, is that there's more than one way to skin a cat, as it were. And in this case, skinning a cat is damaging your hero. I've drafted this card. I like this card a lot in Arena. I've drafted it a bunch in Arena. And once you have 1 or 2 of these, it makes some other cards much better. So like Flame Imps, I said, Elven Archer. You
Oh.
you grab a couple of those.
Just ping yourself.
I had a turn
Ping
where
yourself
I
in the
played
face.
this. Yeah. I had a turn where I played this, and then the guy was at like 14 health or something, and I buffed it all the way to a 14/14 that turn by just damaging my own face a bunch of different ways. And then I just killed him and won the game. So I don't know. That seems a little crazy. I think if we're gonna buff it, I don't know. I don't think I'd buff it. I think it's fine.
okay.
It would, it's a tough one. But
Yeah.
like I said, it changes how you play. Like you tap after you play it, and then you don't get the option of
Whatever the card is.
like seeing what you tapped into.
Hmm.
And like you've now already played this. You've already kind of committed to this. Which committing to a 6/6 is not terrible. But
And you still drew a card. I mean,
and you
I
At
was
the
gonna
end of the
say,
day,
it
you
said
still-
for 7 mana, get a 6/6 on board,
And draw a card.
and do 2 damage to your face. Would you play it as a 7 mana card if all that was just in the text?
probably. But then that's
A lot of text.
that's a lot of text, first of all. Okay, so 7 mana, 6/6, draw a card, do 2 damage to yourself. Yeah, hell yeah. I'd
yeah,
play that.
I play the
Why not?
shit out of
Because
that
that's
card.
exactly what this is.
But no, this is even better than that, though. This is then on the next turn,
Well,
turn
yes,
it into an 8/8 or a 10/10 or a
Yeah.
twelve-twelve. Like,
Well, in the
No,
game,
that's
why
what I
this is even
said.
better
This is a
than
pretty good card, I
In
think.
the
'cause I
game
think
of-
if it was just a straight up 7 mana card with all this in the text, you'd be like, yeah.
in the game of Hearthstone, this isn't that exciting of a card because it is a removal trade fest.
it's a card that has to be dealt with, though. And
Yeah.
Yes.
That to me, I think, is a positive thing when you're playing Hearthstone. And
Yeah.
It's
the
bait.
problem here is that if you draw it on, like, say, turn 5, and it's your only 5 drop, it's a weak 5 drop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's its downside. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
you
not-
must activate it to make it actually good.
Yeah, it's not stellar on curve. It is
Yeah.
not a stellar on curve card. But anyways, I ended up giving a Floating Watcher a C- in Constructed. I think it's just a little bit below average for Constructed. I'm not really seeing it work in Constructed really at all.
Yeah.
But-
It has to be a demon deck, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it
Has
belongs
to.
in a demon deck.
Yep. But I think it's really good in Arena. Like we said, it's a bit of a powerhouse. So I gave it a B- in Arena. Dills, what were your grades?
I'm pretty much with you, man. I said C Constructed because I feel like there's just right now the 5-drop slot is just so jam packed with cards I want to play. Sludge Belchers and Lothebs and all kinds of crazy good stuff in there that it's tough to say that this is the card that I would pick. And if out of those cards, I'd call this like an average card. In a demon lock, though, this would be like a B or something like that. And in Arena, I called it a B- because I think it's I've had a lot of success with it in Arena, and I think in Arena it goes really well with kind of the play style that Arena has, which is this kind of control-y, slower style where I'm gonna probably get to use this and buff it and do crazy stuff with it. So, and it also fits into the style of Warlock I generally draft. So I like it a lot in Arena. B-.
Awesome. Jocelyn, what were your grades?
I gave it B- in Constructed because I think it does fit really well into the Demon Lock deck. And then I gave it slightly higher in Arena, pretty much exactly for the reasons that Dills gave. I mean, it's a card that because of your hero power, you're going to be able to activate every single turn if you choose to. So I think it has the potential to be really strong and hard to remove, especially in Arena. One thing I actually did want to mention that was really, really cool that Ben Brode actually said about the card is that if you have something like Explosive Trap that's triggered, or basically any card that has an effect that damages minions and heroes, so Hellfire is the same thing, even if it drops to below 0, it doesn't actually die because it's still going to get the buff because your hero actually gets hit as
it's
well.
Going to get the
so
buff
it gets the buff before it dies. Yeah.
It resolves all things.
Yeah,
so
it's
that would
technically
actually
happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
Even though it's not displaying it simultaneously. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So if you have it
and
at
it
3 health
Yeah.
and you Hellfire, it goes back up to 2.
It does, yeah. Which I thought was really, really cool. I never would have thought of that. I would have thought, it's only 2? Here, Explosive Trap, boom, done. What? It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool effect. Well, let's talk about another cool effect. Imp-losion. Which I still...
Implosion.
Do we just call it implosion? Implosion. Imp-losion is what I'm going to call it. It's a 4-mana spell, and it reads, deal 2 to 4 damage to a minion. Summon a 1/1 imp for each damage dealt. Now, I'm sure everyone's listening is like, Garrett must hate this card because it's random.
Yeah.
How wrong you are. I love Implosion.
It's so swingy, though, man. It's so swingy.
Oh, it's delightfully swingy, but it's so much more fun than Crackle. We discussed this last week as well. I'm not sure if it was on the show or the after show, but yeah.
I feel like I agree that like it's a funner version of swing just because, more stuff is happening.
And also, technically on the low end, you roll a 2, you still did 2 damage and got 2 1/1s. Which I can...
Yeah, but it still kind of sucks
2
for
1/1
mana.
demons.
Yeah.
2 1/1 demons.
But on its high end, it's just insane. It's like so freaking good. So yeah, when I first saw the name, I kept like thinking there must be a joke in here where you can somehow say Imp puts the lotion on its skin, but I couldn't ever like figure it out. So I don't know. I just gave up. But...
Oh my god, no, that is the joke right there. What's wrong with you? That was amazing.
I guess that is just the joke.
Imp puts the lotion on the skin because Imp
puts the lotion on its skin.
You're lotioning
But it's
someone's...
like this card is just, it's so goddamn frustrating. If I could say GD and people won't get pissed. They will get pissed. But this card, I feel, is more frustrating than Crackle, but I agree that it's more fun of a RNG type thing.
I don't think it's
but
more frustrating.
More frustrating.
I don't think it's more
frustrating.
frustrating.
It's so frustrating. It's frustrating for both parties. If you do the implosion and it only does 2, and you get 2, you're just like, because you're always trying to do it on like 3 health things and stuff. Almost always.
Well, that's why I'm very patient with this card. I think this is a card that it's already, I think we're all giving it pretty good grades. It's already the backbone. This is in every Warlock deck now. But I think you need to be patient with it. I almost never play this if I don't have a Knife Juggler already out, or if it's not turn 6 and I can play him and this.
Yeah.
Because again, it's
T-Sip found it. It puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the Fel Cannon again.
There it is, done.
T-Sip found it.
Done.
Good
Points
job.
to T-Sip.
Well done, T-Sip.
All the internet points you can get.
Yeah.
And anyway, back to my point is controllable randomness. You can hedge your bets. You can get the board state to a point where it's worth taking that bet. And when you throw in something like Knife Juggler, it puts the odds even more in your favor. So
yeah, that's true. If you can play with a Knife Juggalo, it's friggin' crazy. And it's one of the best combos in that new Zoolock. This is like muster for battle on steroids, because you get to do 4 damage at the same time that you summon. So yeah, it's crazy.
No, Implosion's it's a good card. I gave it a B in constructed. I gave it a C+ in arena. I still really like an arena, but I think it's not as good as constructed, because this card is so much better when you can guarantee that you have a card like Knife Juggler to go along with it.
No, that's true. But I think in arena, I just think it's just a B+ card in both cases, because I think in arena, like a card that gives you a card that removes something and plays creatures at the same time that's just so valuable. And there's so many times when that's going to come into play. So I don't know. I just I pick it in arena, and it seems to always do well for me. So I just think it's like a B+. It's like B+, a damn good card. But when it's hits for 2, it sucks, and that's why I don't think it's like an A.
That's why I didn't give it a plus on my constructor. I'm like, there's no way a card that can hit for 2 on turn 4 is getting a plus on my B. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you have the possibility to fizzle and die because you didn't get 3 or 4, that's you know, and that's the drawback. And it had to have some sort of and we were talking like, would this card be good if it was just always 4 mana, deal 3, draw 3 minions? I think it would be very good in that scenario.
Pretty ridiculous.
It wouldn't be as fun, but you know.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd love that card. But anyways, yeah, I really like Implosion. Jocelyn, what'd you give Implosion?
A in constructed and B
What?
arena.
What?
Again, I feel like this is in every Warlock deck. I can't.
That
believe
doesn't
you
mean it's
guys
an
are
A.
giving
Not every
Bs.
card in every Warlock deck's an A.
I mean, it's not in Handlock, but yeah, this is a card that
All
made
the Garrett
Handlock
rage.
even
Holy
better.
shit, dude.
All right.
It made
swallowed.
Handlock even better, so,
I sat through. I swallowed your B on Demonheart and Constructed. I cringed and motored through your C on Anima Golem and Constructed. I've had it, Jocelyn. You're crazy. You're out of your mind.
I guess I don't know. I must be in just too good a mood tonight.
We
I don't know.
tried. We tried when we
He
first.
loves this card.
And to be fair, Anima Golem, I didn't know how to rate it because I wanted to talk to you guys about Handlock because I don't play Handlock. So I wanted you guys to give me your opinions. I'm sorry, Garrett.
You know what, Jocelyn? I accept your A.
Thank
I just
you.
disagree with it slightly. That's all. I mean, Garrett, okay. You gave it a B. You can't get this
Yeah, like
surprised about 1 letter grade higher.
Yes, I can.
No, you
We
can't.
try,
Come on.
and we get
close enough, dude.
we
Jeez.
get flack on we've had YouTube comments that give us flack that say, oh well, if you guys would just give rules as to what makes an A, what makes a B, and yada yada, you wouldn't be deliberating so long on what a card
That's stupid.
grade letter a card should get. And
Those
to
people are
that I say, if you go back to our Curse of Naxxramas reviews, we did try and set ground rules, but Dills and Jocelyn just break these rules constantly.
I don't care about
So-
your rules.
My rules change week to week. Just depends what kind of mood I'm in. You know.
You know what? This week's rules are, I think this card is super fun.
Yeah.
A.
A's. It gives me all the imps, and when they're gold, they're golden, and I'm just like, yay, sparkly, A.
I mean, I don't know. I think in constructed, I think Jonathan's got some good points. You can make some really, really strong combos with this card.
Mhm.
And the imps are demons. So I'm okay with it.
And it goes with Demonheart from earlier. Remember the 6/6 swinging on turn 5? Do you remember?
Yeah, I
That's
remember
pretty
the
awesome.
scenario
But that's a C card, though.
where you defend something that's never going to happen. Moving on, Mal'Ganis. 9 mana, legendary demon minion. Has 9 attack, 7 health, and reads your other demons have +2/+2, period. Your hero is immune, period.
Implosion into Mal'Ganis. Boom.
Boom.
That's why Implosion's an A. 4 3/3s on board, and my hero's immune.
Yep.
That's
Suck
actually
it,
pretty
Garrett.
Yeah, turn 8. All those 1/1s are totally going to survive, so turn 9.
Definitely. Nobody has
Yeah.
removal on turn 8. I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys are jerks.
No.
I said I was on your side. What? How am I? I'm part of you guys in this one.
You were jokingly on her side, but you're still somewhat living in the real world. Anyways, let's talk about Mal'Ganis, because this is a card that got me really excited when he was previewed. I haven't really had any experience playing with him, so I don't have any first-hand experience. But
Do either of you have this card yet?
no,
Okay.
no.
I do
I
have
do.
it. Yeah, you do have it. Yeah. Have you tried it yet?
I think pretty much every single GvG card because I spent too many dollars.
Wow. Nice.
I know for a fact I have bought the least amount of GvG cards of everyone on the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But you also have, a wedding coming.
Yeah.
So it's
I have a
fine.
wedding.
You have real life things.
Yeah.
I have card games.
Wedding,
Yeah.
the lease just came up on my car. Yeah, it was. 2015 is going to be a frugal year for Garrett.
Garrett will not be buying packs of 60 cards. Fair enough.
You're missing out.
Sucks to be you, man. Sucks to be you. I'm gonna be playing Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let you know next time I'm gonna open packs, and you can just watch me, and that'll be like the same, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
Justin's like, you know what? You can get on my ass about Imp-losion because I have all the cards and you don't. Anyways, I like Mal'Ganis. I give him a B across the board, but I think he's just a damn good card.
Yeah, he's good. He's got some issues. He dies to Big Game Hunter, obviously, and I saw somebody saying like, oh, but saying he dies to Big Game Hunter, it's the same as he dies to removal. Like, not necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
Anything with 6 health dies to removal, but it doesn't die to Big Game Hunter. So that's why like
it's worth
things with less than 7 are just kind of better.
Because, the thing with Big Game Hunters is it's we have to bring it up because it's worth noting that something dies to a card that literally every class in the game has access to.
And everyone's running, and and a lot of people are now running 2 of. So it actually makes this card like kind of unplayable if that's the meta that's currently going on. And that's kind of what's happening these days. So that's a problem, obviously. But that there has to be cards where that's the problem with it, and you have to basically bait out so that's why I think in Handlock this card could be really, really amazing because first of all you're a class that gets dangerously low, or you're an archetype that gets dangerously low in health. So taking advantage of the fact that your hero suddenly becomes immune is pretty sweet. It gives you kind of that second finisher outside of Draxus, which maybe if you're trying to draw Draxus and you don't, you got another card you can potentially draw that's going to do the same type of thing, which is essentially make you unkillable. And then you're probably going to have baited out Big Game Hunters by this point because you're playing Giants so much. So at this point, they may be out of Big Game Hunters, and Mal'Ganis will be able to stick. And I saw Magic Amy playing Mal'Ganis in her Handlock to, lots of success. So I think it's a good card in that deck, and I think it's also just good in Arena because people won't have Big Game Hunters very much. So I think it's a good card. If it was a 6/9, holy crap, would this card be good?
Yep. And again, to kind of, again, I know it wasn't on the Prime show. It wasn't actually on episode 6 last week. We talked about it during the after show when we got off on this tangent about kind of how sick I think we all are of Big Game Hunter. It's just I don't know. I'm down on Big Game Hunter right now because I hate that I'm less excited that a card has more attack. I don't that's my reaction.
It's a weird thing, yeah.
And it bothers me. So
it's a weird thing when anything over 7 suddenly becomes less playable than. It's like Tyrion. Oh, it's a 6/6. Yeah, let's put that in there. And then you're like, oh, Ragnaros.
I should be excited by someone saying, hey, dude, what if Tyrion was an 8/8? But I'm not.
No. You're like, no, don't increase it at all. But, I'm sure people are sick of hearing us say, oh, but it dies the Big Game Hunter. But that's the thing you have to think about. You just have to think about it. And when you have to think about whether you can put a card in your deck because of another specific card, that's a meta-changing card, and that's what Big Game Hunter is doing. So that being said, though, I think this card is still very good. It's just it has this one glaring weakness, and that is it just dies to a 4/2 that suddenly stays on the board and costs 3 mana.
Yep.
That's a pretty big weakness, in my opinion.
It is.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get down to grades. I gave Mal'Ganis a B in Constructed. I gave him an A in Arena.
You gave it an A? Should I rage in your face right now?
No, because you also gave it an A. I can see your ratings.
Do it! I know, you can't rage when you gave it the same exact
I
ratings, though. I'm slightly worse than you guys. I said B- in Constructed. I think I only say B- because I think that it's just a card that really only works in like one specific deck, but I think in that deck it's very good. But also it's a card that so Draxus as well. It's like a card that's really good, but it's also not going to make an appearance in that many games. So you're not going to say, oh, Mal'Ganis won me, 15 games tonight. Whereas you could say like Twilight Drake won me a bunch of games tonight. Mal'Ganis is not going to come out in that many of the games. It'll come out in 25% of the games or something like that.
Yeah, he's not a workhorse, but seldomly are any high drops the workhorse because not every game goes to turn 9. Every game goes to turn 2.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's like those cards kind of become more important based on just the number of times they actually see action, see the board. But that being said, I think it's still very good. And Arena, I gave it even slightly better because I think if you see this in a Warlock arena pick and it's up against 2 non-Warlock cards, and there's some really crappy legendaries out there, this card is going to rate really highly as one that you're going to want to pick in arena. Making your hero immune, like let's say the other guy has like a weapon out or something that could kill you. Let's say you're playing a mage. Now the mage can't pyro your face. He's going to have to pyro Mal'Ganis, stuff like that. It's going to make Mal'Ganis really good in arena.
Yeah. Yeah. One thought I was thinking of is I've like comparing this to Jiraxxus in arena only. I feel like I'd go Jiraxxus every time.
Yeah, I probably would. The problem is that you can't play Jiraxxus if you're at like 28 health.
Oh, right. But you're not dead, so who cares?
Yeah, no, that's true. But also, you're a Warlock. You're probably not going to be at 28 health, right?
Yes, that's
you probably
that's the other thing. You sure as hell are not going to be at 28 health come turn 9. It's not.
But
gonna
yeah,
happen,
there are times. But I agree. I think you pick Jiraxxus over Mal'Ganis for sure.
Yeah. Jocelyn, what'd you give Mal'Ganis?
Being constructed in an arena.
Yeah. Grade buddies.
Yay! That's twice tonight.
You guys patching it up.
Yeah, I actually the doc previously read B across the board for me and Mal'Ganis, and then as we were talking about it just now, I'm just like, I don't see any reason I don't just give this an A in arena. Like the only thing I would be more excited to pick is Jiraxxus, and Jiraxxus I think is an A+ in arena.
Well, in arena, I think still the best card in arena is still kind of Ragnaros. Like if you get Ragnaros,
right. Right.
But this is pretty. I mean, with Ragnaros, it's just hitting things without taking damage. Mal'Ganis is going to be a 9. So if you're hitting things, you're choosing the thing you want to hit, and you're hitting it for 9. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
and another point we didn't mention. I feel like a lot of people are aware of this by now. But when Mal'Ganis is out, when you life tap, you don't take damage.
No, you do not. Yeah,
you don't take damage from anything.
Which is
funny. The most the least exciting thing on him is the 2/2 to demons, right?
Yeah, which is still pretty good.
Still really good.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's permanent. It just sits there. As long as it's out, your demons are +2/+2.
Yep.
Imp-losion.
Yep.
In conclusion, Mal'Ganis, good card. Let's move on to the final Warlock card, the Mistress of Pain. She is a 2-mana rare demon minion. She has 1 attack, 4 health, and reads, whenever this minion deals damage, restore that much health to your hero. I was so very excited about this, and anyone who plays Magic knows why, because I love me some lifelink, and this card's just not...
Essentially, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely lifelink. If they had given it a new name, if they had introduced something like Battle Cry, and it was a new name, that this would be lifelink.
Yeah, if they made more cards that did this, you might see
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
So.
And I love this kind of effect. It's so interesting. Now the thing is though, it's a 1-attack creature, or minion. It's just not that exciting. You're not going to be getting a lot of life for your unless you invest cards like Demonheart into this, which I'm sure Jocelyn is very excited about. But. Yeah, I don't know about Mistress of Pain. Kind of just unexciting. You have to invest more into this card to make it worth your while. So as a card by itself, if this is all you have to drop, it's just unimpactful.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think we're all kind of in agreement. It's just kind of a meh kind of card.
Yeah.
Although, if you did make just a specific demon lock and you had this and you also had Demon Fire. If you can, coin this out on turn 1 and then Demon Fire it on turn 2, you've got a 3/6 on board that's going to do some work, and should kind of keep the early. You'll pretty much have the early game if you can do something like that. That's kind of the best case scenario, though, and you can't really judge a card based on its best case scenario, because that's not going to happen all the time. So It's got upside, but it doesn't have much upside, and that's just unfortunate because I think it's a cool idea for a card, and I like it. However, that being said, I think it's slightly better in arena because it's just a 2-drop essentially that will trade with there's some common cards that will trade with very well, like Loot Hoarder. You'll just kill Loot Hoarder and stay alive, and you'll be able to do some stuff with this, and in combination with the other cards, and since there's 4 health, it'll probably live through a couple turns. So I think it's okay there. I like having 2-drops, whether they be, I'd rather have a 2/3, but whatever. Can't always choose what you get in arena. So still think it's just an okay card there.
Yeah, agreed. I gave it a D+ across the board. I'd I think I'm going to come up to a C- in Arena. I agree with
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean,
said there,
it's
Dills.
just slightly better in Arena. Not like it's way better, just slightly better.
Yeah. Jocelyn, what'd you give Mistress of Pain?
I gave D's. Maybe I was just getting tired by the time I got to the end of the ratings.
Yeah, you were
or
like, all
something.
these cards are amazing. What? This card?
And not this
Boo.
one.
Yeah.
1, 4.
Yeah, no, I find that there's just a lot more demons. Like, this doesn't even go in the demon deck. Like, there's just a lot more things that I'd rather use the space in the deck for.
I'm about to say, like, that's the thing. Like, so many of the demon cards we've looked at today and that just exist in general, you're really excited when the Void Caller picks it. This one, that's like, it's a liability. It's like, I don't want Void Caller to put this card out, please.
Yeah, Void Caller, you want to get your demons that do something negative when they hit the board, which is a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're extra strong because they do something negative. This is not one of those.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have Mistress of Pain's sister, the Succubus, come down from a Void Caller. So, anyways, that wraps it up for the Warlock. Went a little longer than I expected. Let's just motor on. Crazy game stories go.
The whole world gone crazy.
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Ours today comes to us from Cluster. And Cluster writes, I was playing in Arena as a Shaman. I was at 7 wins, 2 losses, and facing a priest in the late game. The priest played...
I don't buy it. I don't buy this story.
No? Just
You're
from...
7 and 2 and you
made up.
weren't facing a mage. This is all lies.
Anyways, he says the priest plays Sneed's old shredder, because he doesn't care if you believe it or not, Dills. He said, my board position is weak and I reluctantly kill the shredder. Out pops Sneed's old shredder. Next turn, my board is still weak, but the priest has exactly 4 minions, and I have a mind control tech. Last chance. I get it. I snatch Sneed's, and my healing totem puts it back to full health. Things are looking good. I can still win this. The only thing that could stop me now would be something like mind control. I even healed the damn shredder for him. I killed the second shredder and out pops the beast. The game is just laughing at me now. I actually managed to kill the beast, but it took a lava burst and trading in my last minion. So at this point, I'm pretty much screwed against the priest's superior board. In a final act of defiance, I taunt up Finkel Einhorn with a Defender of Argus, but I know it's too late. I should get one of those shredder cockpits into my student flat. Infinite party space.
There you go.
Oh,
Have people pop out of shredders all the time.
that was...
Yeah, it's the shredders. Sneedception is
Best thing ever.
it's cool, man. Yeah, it's cool that it's a possibility. But yeah, it sucks when it happens against you. And
It's
this is why you were at 7-2 and it was a priest. He had Sneed's old shredder and mind control, so he was doing okay.
Yeah. Getting Sneed from Sneed is never going to stop being awesome.
No, absolutely not. See, every time if I get to six or more wins in Arena, it's nothing but Paladin and Mage. That's it now. Paladin and Mage all the time. That's all I ever see. It's kind of getting old.
A little bit. Strong.
Yeah.
We got good comments, man. Good comments. So, anyways, thank you for your story, Cluster. That was a very entertaining defeat. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's all I
sorry
have
that
to say.
That neat story.
Thank
By
you.
the way,
usually
did
they're
anybody
wins.
try Hearth Arena? Did you guys try it?
No, I didn't get a
no.
chance this
But
week.
there've been a lot of tweets and a lot of emails from folks who are singing its praises and thanking you personally for recommending it.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I think it's doing fairly okay for me. I had some bad runs though, but I was also fairly drunk, so it's fine.
it happens if we did
I
a
passed those off as gameplay mistakes.
if we did a line graph, the how many wins versus how drunk Dills is, I'm sure we would see a consistent
Steady decline.
drop.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Be a
It's
nice
straight curve down.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Anyways, let's take some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can also send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jocelyn, who do you have for us today?
First email comes to us from Ben. He says, TAC hosts went really simple with the intro. I was like, respect. Have you guys retried Naxx using GvG cards, specifically Heroic Kel'Thuzad? With the exception of KT, I had all the bosses beaten before GvG. Last week I played against a Stall Mill Mage. At the time I didn't know that Hearthstone posted a deck as a deck spotlight. It's called Fresca's Freeze Mage, and with some minor tweaks, I think it could work for Heroic KT. Thanks for the great pod. So this is something I totally hadn't thought about, but is probably way easier to do now, is all the Heroic Naxx bosses, because I kind of hit a wall. I can't even remember who it was. I feel like it was like the second or third Heroic boss in Naxx. I just hit a wall and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm out. I'm done. And I've never gone back to it again. Have you guys gone back and tried all the Heroic Naxx bosses?
I never even attempted Heroic. I had no interest in it, and I still don't.
No, not even with GvG cards?
None.
No.
None. Don't.
But I mean, yeah, I think that there's definitely some tools in the toolbox now that weren't there before that'll make you able to take on some. So if people did want to get that done and hadn't been able to, Hearthhead actually has a lot of. You can actually like tag when you're searching for decks to look for decks that people have made for specific bosses. So you can try doing that if you want to do that, and I'm sure people have updated to GvG stuff there too.
Yeah, and there's usually really good conversations going on in the comments there of how to use that deck against the boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this is Fresca's Mage, I don't think it's really like a freeze mage. I think Fresca's the one who does the it's kind of a mill mage. It's really like an outlast mage. This is the one that plays tons of Death Lords and then tries to echo your Death Lords and duplicate your Death Lords and just constantly like pull cards out of your deck and put them on the board, and then uses things like Explosive Sheep and Blizzard and Flame Strike and all that kind of stuff to kill all those things that it put out onto the board.
Oh, right. This is the deck. Chat room's just saying Savage has been playing this on his stream. I've been watching a lot of this, and it looks like so much fun. And then you see at the end, and it's just like cold light, cold light. It's just like fatigue, 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 done. Oh my God,
it's
awesome.
Crazy deck, and it's weird though because it's like people are so friggin' excited about mill right now. Like they just everywhere you look, it's like, oh, can you make a mill mage work? How about mill druid? How about mill rogue? Everyone just wants to mill all the time, and I don't know. I feel like people are getting a little too excited about the mill, guys. Just relax with the mill. Okay?
I am so utterly sick of playing against mill druids. I can't put it into words.
Well, here's what you do though: is you don't. Well, actually, they're really good against like zoo and stuff. That's the problem, I think, is they don't do very well against like mid-range decks, but they do really well against the zoo-y type, like hunter type decks.
Do you think
they have a lot of tools to deal with aggro?
Well, I was about to say with zoo, you just unload your hand, so the mill never happens.
No, not necessarily. The thing is, they have a lot of board clears and stuff. So you unload your hand and they clear your board, and then you draw, and like you essentially like kind of do half the job for them with zoo, where you draw 2 cards a turn anyway, and then they make you draw more cards, and then they actually are really good against zoo decks and hunter decks and stuff. But if you play like druid or like paladin and stuff, you just kind of.
I'm about to say, I feel like I've had much more issue with mill decks with my paladin deck than I have with my Zoolock deck.
Interesting. Yeah.
Paladin, I always usually have, maybe 5 cards in my hand, whereas with my Zoolock deck, I have maybe 2, 3 tops.
Yeah. See, my experience with Zoo is that they just have so many ways to clear the board and do stuff to like just to manipulate my board. I just can't keep my board, and if you lose your board as Zoo, you're screwed. You're starting from square one, and you just Other than people are saying, then they play Tree of Life, and then it's like, oh. Well, I'll never kill you. So, but yeah, watch Savage play the deck. He's like a master at this deck.
Yeah,
already.
He's really good.
Oh, and It's Otter is the other guy who is playing it a lot.
So to answer,
I think he was saying he was going to play it all the way to Legend. He was like, I'm playing nothing with this deck.
So to answer this guy's question, none of us have done what he was asking, right? None of us have gone back.
No, but I think it's a good suggestion.
Yeah. So go try it out if you're not like me and you want to knock out Heroic Naxx. You've got a lot more tools at your disposal.
Yeah.
Assuming, of course, you actually have Goblins versus Gnome cards. If you haven't bought any Goblins versus Gnome cards, it really hasn't changed for you. But yeah. Anyways,
But
Dills,
there's a few that will definitely have. Like I think Tree of Life is going to help on some of those bosses a lot. The ones that just try to kill you really fast and stuff, and then you do that, and it's like, okay, well now I got the board and Tree of Life, I'm full health.
yeah,
Here I come.
that's the use for Tree of Life.
That card is interesting, man. I like a card like that to exist. Yeah, the style of the mill thing. I'm with you, Garrett. I'm sick of it. I'm annoyed with it now already.
Yeah,
Every game goes all the way to fatigue, and it takes forever. It sucks. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to play all the way to fatigue. I want to play like 15 to 20 of our cards. Then we'll find out who won.
So then just concede. And then it makes mill decks even better. Because you make opponents concede on turn like 5.
Well, they actually do, but yeah.
I do enjoy the games though when they make me draw cards that I needed to win. That always makes me happy. It's like, oh, thank you, Cold Light Oracle. I needed that equality. Now, please die in a fire, Druid. Thank you.
That's always that's the drawback.
The
of
risk,
these decks, but
yeah, absolutely.
But if you watch like Savage play, he doesn't just Cold Light Oracle. Just all like a lot of people think they play them wrong. They just Cold Light Oracle. Like what you want is you want to get the guy into fatigue first, then you Cold Light.
Then
Oracle,
you Cold Light, yeah, because you want to
they
kill
take
them with
damage.
Cold Light, yeah.
Yeah, they take damage from the Cold Light, so it's just that the style of play isn't really obvious to a lot of people.
Yeah. So, anyways, Dills, you want to take the next email?
Sure. It's from Chemdork. It says, "Hey, Angry Chickens. After listening to the email from TAC number 60 about the perception of unfairness in arena mode, I was intrigued by the discussion and wanted to add some information from my own experience. The email hit home for me since I was actually going to write in about the same topic, which is that I also had the perception that arena mode had become more unfair after GvG came out. I tracked my win-loss record in arena, so I decided to check and see if statistics matched my perception. I was surprised to see that out of a total of 30 arena runs, 15 prior and 15 after GvG, my average win rate had not changed much at all. My perception of unfairness was just that, only perceived. The real question is, why did I have this perception? I would have to agree that GvG has made arena games in general faster, and consequently the losses tend to feel a lot worse. The sense of unfairness originates from the same fuel that fires the hatred for rush decks compared to control decks. Even if the win rate is similar for a rush deck and control deck, losing to a rush deck just feels worse. Versus control, you feel like you made some progress and just lost at the end because you're outplayed. But versus rush, it feels a lot more like a sucker punch and often results in a there was nothing I could do sense of helplessness. I would be interested to see if the statistics for other arena players are similar to my own. Do any of you track your stats in arena enough to make the comparison? How does pre-GvG stack up to post-GvG for your own arena runs? Do you see the same trend? Thanks for the great show. Well, first of all, I don't think the issue here is unfairness. I don't think that word is correct.
Yeah, I think semantics must be brought up here. It is impossible for arena to be unfair.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
in the sense of
it's
like
possible that someone gets luckier than you in that specific arena run and drafts much better cards. That's
right,
possible.
but for the fact that before GvG it was more fair than after,
no,
that makes no sense.
No, that's not what's happening. What it is it's just that the style of play has changed a lot and the value of the cards has changed, and so people, if they haven't adjusted their kind of strategies to kind of match the way that the games are moving, and the games aren't getting faster, they're just getting a ton faster, and it's just because there's more early drops that are actually decent, and if you can draft a bunch of these early drops, then you get a fast start every game, and if you don't get the fast start, then you're screwed. So that's changed for sure, and you must adjust, and that's how limited is always going to be in Hearthstone or any other card game where a new set of cards is going to change that meta as well as just changing the constructed meta. So you just have to be willing to go along with it. A lot of people are drafting much more aggro. I don't see a big difference. I'm still averaging somewhere between, I've always kind of averaged somewhere around 7 wins, just somewhere around that area. And according to Hearth Stats, I'm averaging about 7 wins right now. After only 7 arenas tracked there, and I hadn't been tracking much before that, so I'm not 100% sure all the way. But last when I was tracking, I was somewhere around that area too. So I haven't seen a huge change, but I know that at first I felt like it was tougher, and it really was just that I hadn't adjusted my game yet. And so everyone's going to have to adjust their game. They're going to have to either play a little quicker, or if they're not able to get those early game cards, you're going to have to kind of Like I think that there's certain times now where in the past, let's say on turn 1 I have 2 drops, but I'm going second. In the past I would like save the coin sometimes to try to get more value out of it later. Nowadays I'm going to coin out a 2-drop if I have another 2-drop to follow it every single time. If I miss a drop and the other guy's not missing drops, I just get overwhelmed, and you can't let that happen. So I just think like things like that have to change. You have to adjust your playstyle a little bit. And you can't just let people overrun you and then say, what was I supposed to do? I just, it's like, well, you were supposed to coin out your 2-drop on turn 2 or on turn 1. So it's those kind of decisions that have to change. And of course, you have to draft a little quicker. You have to make sure you have 6 or more 2-drops and, a few 3-drops and some 1-drops and stuff, so you can actually get a quick enough start to keep up.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
absolutely.
It's going to feel really bad.
And when it comes to assessing your game, for like if you actually want to look at raw stats and really come to a strong conclusion, like you can have the best curve in the world. You can have a bunch of 2 and 3 drops, and then it gets a little smaller for 4 and a little smaller for 5, and so on and so forth. But the games that you lost, did you lose it, with a good hand, or did you have a hand full of your high drops? You just got unlucky and you lost that game. This is all stuff you need to take into consideration. I mean, there is a chance that you have what most would consider a 12-win arena deck, and you just draw crap every game. It's unlikely, but it can happen. It's just, it's a card game. This is how it works. So,
but there's like times in the past where I would be playing Paladin or something, and I would, on my initial draw, I would get, a True Silver Champion and like a 5-drop, a 6-drop, and a 3-drop, right? And I would keep the True Silver and mulligan everything else, and just be like, it's fine because I'll just hero power on turn 2, and then I'll play whatever on turn 3, and then turn 4 I'll have my True Silver Champion. And then in the current state of Arena right now, if I do that and then I don't get any 2-drops, I might True Silver Champion on turn 4, but there's 5 things on board and I can't deal with them. And yes, I can 2-for-1 with my True Silver, but I'm not putting things on the board. I'm just trying to claw back and deal with what's already happening, and it's just too late. So you have to mulligan differently. You have to really try to get your 2-drops, and you just have to be more aggressive. You can't do things like keep water elementals and True Silver Champions and Yetis and stuff like that. You just can't. You got to get your 2-drops, or else you just fall way behind. That's just how it is now.
Absolutely. Any thoughts, Jocelyn?
Nope. I just the reason that I like this email is because I can definitely see that with everybody playing a much faster game, it feels worse to lose an arena since GvG started. I thought it was a really good point. Yeah. It
feels like you're just like, I have no chance. You have a 1-drop and a 2-drop.
I'm just terrible in arena now.
Like, what was I supposed to do? And it's like, well, here's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to also play a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4, It's like now it's like tempo is just so friggin' important.
Yep.
It doesn't mean like you can't trade and play a control game. It just means you have to have
the thing
resource to trade with.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I still like Mage in Arena. Now I realize they're still good in Arena, and in my opinion doesn't matter, but one of the reasons I still like them is because of just the way the Mage can be played. You've such access to so many common spells, where if you get the card that you want, you get a bunch of minions out and they just help you accelerate an aggressive game. But if it's a little slower, well, you have these spells, you can play a control game if you have to.
Yeah. Well, you can also with Mage, you may fall way behind. On turn 7, you can just wipe their board. Which is like, all right, reset this game. I don't like what's happening here. You have a bunch of crap on your side and I have nothing.
Undo.
The other thing I'll say is draft mind control tech really highly. There's actually a lot of times now where they have 4 cards on their side of the board on turn 3 when I play that thing. So it's
that card has gotten so much better in both constructed and arena.
Yeah, it's actually in a ton of constructed decks now. I mean, Dr. Boom is the big reason for constructed because you can potentially steal Dr. Boom. But also it's just there's so many more death rattle, sticky minions and stuff. And,
plus Imp-losion and muster. You have these spells that just flood the board with minions. Now, granted, you might just get a 1/1, but I mean, if you don't have a board clear,
you stole something and you played a 3/3.
Yeah, if you don't have a board clear, stealing one of them is fine. It's better than nothing.
It's essentially what you did is you played a 3/3, you killed one of their creatures and played your own creature, So
Yeah, Mind Control Tech, good card now. Really good card now.
Very.
So, anyways,
I hope you do better, sir, and try out the heartharena.com if you feel like you need, because they've adjusted for the GvGs, and it should help you out there as well. And watch some of the top arena players right now because they've all adjusted. Ratsma and Cherry Warrior and damn it, I can't remember the other guy, but he posts a bunch of videos on Reddit and stuff too. He's really good. There's a bunch of, and of course Crip. There's a bunch of guys who play tons of arena. Hafu, Trump. Watch some of those because they're all adjusting right now too.
Yeah, check it out. Anyway, I think that'll do it for today's episode. As always, want to thank those of you who are supporting us over on the Patreon. It's over at patreon.com/TAC. If you aren't a patron, gives you a few things. You get access to the TAC Skype account for the patron call-in episodes. Our next call-in episode is going to be recorded on Tuesday the 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to try and give you guys a little more notice this year. We'll do our best. And it also gives you the after show video the same day as the regular episode. So go check it out, patreon.com/TAC if you want to support the show. And this week we wanted to thank the following patrons. Thank you, Sean C., Peter, Tom B., Amir G., and Mark N. Thank you all very much for subscribing to The Angry Chicken. Really appreciate it. And also, if you're leaving us reviews in iTunes, it really helps the show, and we appreciate it. So this week we wanted to thank Tony Midnight, who said he listens to our show with a crack-like addiction. So thank you, Tony, and we hope you get help. Break that.
No, don't
No.
listening to us with your crack-like addiction. Keep doing it.
I feel like most people can listen to the episode once and be fine. I'm a little worried for Tony if he just listens to it. He's like, all right, I need it again. And he just throws it on repeat. I can't stand the sound of my own voice, so I can't imagine having to hear it over and over again.
It's pretty horrible. I didn't want to say anything.
No.
Didn't want to hurt your feelings, but
Whoa.
So,
We've been getting a lot of emails though about people who are like saying, the only way I could make this drive this morning is the Angry Chicken and things like. It's so cool to me because I feel the same way about so many podcasts, and it's so cool to be that somehow, some way, people feel that way about a podcast I do. That's just weird to me. Still. But thank you guys for that kind of stuff. That feedback is amazing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because we actually did get an email that really I believe moved all three of us this week from listener Dave, who had a really tough 2014, and I won't go into details here because it was a very personal email, but he said that our show helped him through it, and I just want to say here that Dave, that meant the world to me, that email.
I think 2015 is going to be the year of Dave.
I agree.
This is the year that Dave shines. So
I agree. So
I hope you're looking forward to that, Dave. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Here's to a great new year for you, dude. Anywho, also this month it's going to be the first Fireside gathering that I'll be attending / helping plan. It's going to be in Orlando. It'll be January 24th. It's a Saturday at 4 p.m. You can get all the details over at meetup.com/Florida Fireside. You can RSVP and find more information over there. Big thanks to my buddy Amy for coordinating that. The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. All of our past live shows and other videos can be found on youtube.com/StarcastShow. And we have a t-shirt. You can get the Angry Chicken t-shirt and be angry and poultry in public over at slashloot.com. Our Twitter is @TAC Podcast. We record live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Or you can get the mobile stream at alphageekradio.com. Also, go to briangriffithmusic.com and check out the musician who made our awesome intro music. Never gets old for me. I still need to make that a ringtone for you guys. I haven't done it yet. And
yes, do it.
I need to get on that. Anyways, Dills, where can folks find you when you're not on the doing the old TAC?
You can find me on the Instance Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and I talk about the World of Warcraft, just a little game. It wasn't nominated for Game of the Year or anything, but that's cool. We still talk about it. We still think it's all right. And TortureCast, podcast by for fans of the San Francisco Giants. All of the other sports in the Bay Area, well, except for the awesome Warriors, are kind of over, so we're ready for baseball to come back. And I'm in the Hearthstats league thing. They got that Hearthstats league now, like the grinder league, and then you can move into the second phase. And so I'm in the second phase, and that's going to be happening, I believe, next week. I think it starts on the 19th, and they're streaming a bunch of the matches. And there's some really well-known players playing in these, and I'm actually going to be in one of the streamed featured matches. I'm going to be playing Tice, so I got to actually put some good decks together, I guess.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that was
get
happening.
ready to play him. Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully I do well in that. I will stream the games that aren't streamed, I guess, and then the game that's actually streamed on their channel, I won't stream that one, but you'll be able to watch it on the Hearthstats channel on Twitch. So that should be pretty cool.
Go check it out, man. Go support Dills, people. Come on. He's going up against Tice.
See if I can beat some of the Hearthstone pros. We'll see. We'll see.
I don't want to say you need the support, but I feel like, Juggernaut like that, come on, just a little bit.
He's a good player, man. So if I win any games, I'll be happy.
Let's get a Dills
but
champ
I'm
going.
excited. I'm excited. I think I can do it. I can do it. I just need to actually take this game seriously and stop playing aggro priest late at night while I've been drinking.
Please do. Please, for all of us, for all of our sakes. Jocelyn, where can folks find you?
Right here on A-Move TV every Friday night at 8:30 Eastern for the Gamers In. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm GIS Gamer over there, which is the same as my Twitch handle, and I've been streaming a crap ton in the last little while. So if you want to know when I go live, then follow me on Twitter.
Go check it out. I thought you were at Loves Demonheart. I thought that was your handle.
Well, I was thinking of changing it, and that's definitely the top of the list.
Thank you for taking all the crap I've been slinging today.
You're welcome. It's my job.
Anywho, if you want to sling crap at me, you can do so on Twitter at Garrett Art. That's at GarrettTart, or over at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. If you need a graphic designer, go check it out. I can also be found talking about Heroes of the Storm on Into the Nexus with Kyle Ferguson. That's the other podcast I do every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Check it out. That'll do it for this week. Don't forget to use the code TAC at DogHouseSystems.com. It'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. That would be a terrible deal.
Take that memory away.
You get 4 gigs. Deal with it. Anyways, use TAC. You'll get a double memory for free and support the show in the process. So we thank Doghouse Systems for their support. Thank you for listening. And until next week, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!